Let's go JavaScripting! Hi everybody and welcome to another exciting edition of Boring JavaScript. I'm your host, the Virtual Ape, aka Mike Smith, and today we're taking a look at the increment operator and the decrement operator. So sometimes you want to add one or subtract one from a variable. You'll say something like variable equals variable plus one, or variable equals variable minus one. Or you may even write it saying variable plus equals one or variable minus equals one. Well, the increment operator and a decrement operator allow you to do it even shorter. You could just say variable plus plus, or plus plus variable, or variable minus minus, or minus minus variable, and it will automatically increment or decrement one to that particular variable. You want to see how they work? Let's get started. Now, I would not be lying to you if I told you this was ridiculously easy to use. So let's show you how easy it is to use. I have a variable here, and line 2 shows you what the increment operator looks like. And all it is the variable with plus plus at the very end of the variable. And what that means is that what JavaScript will do is it will automatically add 1 to this particular variable, or whatever variable it's connected to. It won't add 2, won't add 5, it will only add 1. So line 3, I should expect to come out to be my number plus plus is 1. Why? Because I started with 0, I incremented it here, and so therefore my number should turn out to be 1. The decrement operator is right here, and it works exactly the same way, except it subtracts 1. Not 2, not 5, not 10, but 1. So I should expect line number 6 to come out here saying my number negative is 0. Why? Because I started with 0, I added 1 here, and then I subtracted 1 there, and 0 plus 1 minus 1 is 0. So let's run it and see what we got. Let's go over to Node, and let's type in Node increment. Oops. Decrement. Yep, sure enough, my number plus plus is 1, and that's right because we started at 0, and my number minus minus is 0, and that's right because we started with 1. So that works great. Now, we had the variable and then plus plus afterwards. Did you know it could also be before the variable? So if I took the plus plus off of the end and put it at the very beginning, and then took the negative, or minus minus, and put it at the very beginning, this will do the exact same thing. So your increment operator could be just before the variable, or it could be just after the variable. So let's flip over to Node, and let's type in, well, just hit up arrow. Yep, get the exact same thing. My number plus plus is 1, and my number negative is 0. Actually, the plus plus should have been in the beginning with the text, but I didn't change the text. I just changed the operator. And that's pretty much it. That's all there is that you have for the increment and decrement operators, except for one thing. There is one small gotcha that will really mess you up if you're not careful using the increment and decrement operators. I'll show you that next. So what's that gotcha? Well, the increment and decrement operator not only changes the value of your variable, it also returns a value back to wherever you happen to be using it. Now you can use it by itself like I did in the previous example, or you can use it as part of an expression, like variable equals, my number plus plus. But there's a catch to that, is that it will return 2 different values based upon the placement of those operators. Let me show you what I mean. Here is my array, or at least a sample array here, and I've got a little loop going through the array here. And I'm not going to go through the details of the loop here. It's no big deal. And in fact, don't use this code to loop through an array. This is, again, just to show you an example of some of the gotchas that you may encounter with the increment and decrement operators. So it's very simple here. I'm going to start with an index of 0. I'm going to just kind of loop through all the different animals. And I'm going to start with animal number 0, and then I'm going to print out the information. And we're also going to increment index each and every single time until index is exhausted through all the animals. So let's flip back over to Node. And let's type in Node 4. And boom, shakalaka. What the heck happened? Well, 2 things. First of all, notice we're saying animal 1 is a dog and named Fido. Well, that's correct, but you can kind of see on the screen there, also my first one is actually a cat. So the cat got skipped. And also we had a error here saying that cannot read property type of undefined. And the reason it's undefined here is it tried to get animal number 9, tried to get animal number 9, but there is no animal number 9. There's no 9th animal within that array. There's no 10th animal in the array, index number 9. So what happened? Well, let's go back over to the code and let me show you. Whenever you have an increment or decrement operator, it will return the value of the operator based upon the position, or the value of the variable based upon the position of the operator. If the operator is at the very beginning of the variable, it will first increment the variable and then return the value of the variable. So in this particular case, we went to started at index 0, we got down to line 16, and the first thing it did was, okay, the increment operator is at the beginning of the variable, so let's add 1 to index and then let's return that number. So the first time through, it returned 1. So the first index was animals 1, not animal 0, which is a cat, but animals 1, which was the Fido, the dog. And so as it kept on going through here, we got eventually down to index, happened to be index number, we got to index number 9, which is impossible because this very last one happens to be index number 8. So index number 9 came out to be undefined, and that's the reason we got the undefined variable. So how do you fix this? Well, the easy and fastest way to fix this is to put the plus plus at the end. Because if the plus plus or the increment and decrement operators are at the very end of the variable, it will first return the value of the variable before incrementing it. So now on line 16, it will first of all say, okay, index, let's return the value for index first, which in the first case, the first time through is 0. Then let's increment index automatically. So the first time through, I should get index number 0, which happens to be my cat, and it shouldn't error out this time because it will be able to satisfy this condition automatically. Let's flip back over to Node, and let's clear off the screen, and let's click on Node 4. Yep, and sure enough, there's my cat Fluffy. There's no error or anything. There's my Larry the Lizard, but what the heck happened here? Animal 1, 2, 3, this is not right. Because again, remember, indexes start at 0, not 1. So this is actually incorrect information. I've got my cat Fluffy, which is the correct data inside the database, but that happens to be animal number 0, not number 1. So what happened there? Well, again, the increment operator is at the very end, so it returns 0, which we already knew, but then it incremented index automatically to 1. So although the first time through, index was 0 on line 16, index is 1 on line 17. So that printed animal number 1, and I already got animal type and animal name from up here, so this part was correct, but that part was not. So how do you fix that? Well, the easiest way to fix that is to still use the increment and decrement operators, is to say index plus plus. Just put it on a line by itself. And make sure it's after the console.log, because we're going to have information here that is typed out that depends upon the older index. So this should work. Let's flip back over to Node. Let's clear off the screen, go to Node 4. And yep, no errors this time. My cat is still named Fluffy at the very beginning, and it is indeed animal number 0. So that's some of the gotchas that you want to remember with using the increment and decrement operators, is that you got to be careful when this is being actually used, because it could report to you incorrect numbers. And second of all, remember they will always return the value of the variable before it increments it if the increment and decrement operators are at the very end of the variable. But if at the very beginning of the variable, like this, then the variable gets incremented before the value is sent back to the calling program. And that's all there is to the increment and decrement operators. I hope you enjoyed our video. Hope I didn't bore you to death. Please make sure to click on the like button below and subscribe to this channel for future Boring JavaScript videos. You can see all of our videos at www.boringjavascript.com or see everything we have at www.thevirtualoid.com. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you later.